So, you have a Grailer 4 and you want to take it apart? Under normal circumstances, you shouldn't really have to disassemble this knife. Use compressed air to blow out any dust, gunk or debris, and you're good. Is the knife opening a bit less smoothly than you're used to? Then probably the detent ball needs a bit of cleaning and perhaps a drop of oil. Use a nice knife oil like scrubber maintenance oil and use the needle tip to spread some oil over the detent ball, and it should be good as gold. But for the cases where you really have to, we'll show you how to do it properly, as there is a bit of a specific order of operations here. Here's what you'll need. A Grailer 4, obviously. A nice quality Torx T6 driver, a Torx T8 driver, a good oil, preferably one with a needle applicator like the scrubber maintenance oil, a cleaning cloth, and a plastic baggie. Let's get started on the show side of your handle. Use the plastic baggie in between the screw and your Torx T8 driver to prevent damaging the screws. Always make sure your bit is properly nested in the screw head before applying pressure. Remove both handle screws and then remove the pivot screw with the same screwdriver. Please be careful not to lose any parts. Put them away in an orderly manner so you know where to find all the bits and bobs when reassembling. Next, you grab the Torx T6 to unscrew the T6 frame screws. Careful here. T6 is a small size. It's easy to mess up. Properly nest the screwdriver and carefully apply pressure. Now you carefully open the blade. Make sure not to scratch the blade on the liners. And remove the liner. Take out the bearings, the blade, and other bearings. Now you remove the backspacer. The pin that keeps it in place can dislodge itself when removing the backspacer, so be careful not to lose it. Now the main work is done. Normally, you shouldn't have to remove the other side of the pivot, but if you really cannot contain yourself, then do it in this way. Use the plastic baggie, of course, and remove the pivot screw on the lock side of the handle. If you want to remove the pocket clip, then grab the T6 Torx and the baggie, and remove the two screws from the inside. Now you can also remove the handle on the other side as well, though honestly, you shouldn't really have to for just a cleaning job. We'll also show you how to take off the bolsters. They are held in place with T6 screws as well, short ones, so be careful not to break them. Now we have all the parts of the knife, it's time to start cleaning. Let's start with the blade. Clean all contact surfaces like the tracks for the ball bearings and detent ball and the lock face. In this case, the knife is not that dirty, but you can use a light oil like body stole or scrubber maintenance oil to help you clean the knife. You could even use cleaning alcohol, but then you need to make sure you wipe everything down with oil after you're done. Now the ceramic bearings as well. I like to pinch the bearings in between a cloth and roll them around to clean most debris out. Again, you could use oil here. Next, the contact surfaces of the liners. Clean the bearing pocket, and please know there are steel washers in there as well. Best to keep those in place. Then it's reassembly time. Let's start with the bolsters again. Make sure you are certain the driver fits the screws. T6 again. I do recommend you leave these on, as it serves no practical purpose to remove them when just cleaning the knife. And on the lock side, we'll place back the handle skills again. Torx T8. Just on the lock side, not on the show side yet. Tricky bit now. Add the pivot again. Make sure you align the D-shaped hole properly. Add the pivot collar and then the pivot screw. Torx T8. Don't forget the collar. Now we need to add the pocket clip. Make sure it's properly seated in its tight-fitting pocket in the handle scale. For this we use torque 6 again. Now the lock side is almost done. Let's add the bearings and give them a drop or two of this nice oil. Now we place the blade. And the backspacer with the pin. Bearings on the other side. Drop of oil. And now we gently stack the show side liner on top. Be sure to keep the blade half open at this time to prevent the liner from scratching it and the liner lock from tensioning the blade and pivot. The backspacer should be tight, no gaps. Next, we make sure the backspacer is rotated flush with the liners so the screw holes align, and place the screws in the screw holes. Notice we still keep the blade half open, so be careful with that. We gently screw down the handle with the baggie of course, and then put the pivot screw back in. Now turning the pivot should be relatively straightforward. Screw it down and test your blade. Your aim is to have it run as smoothly as possible without side-to-side play. That should be it. As said, you should be able to clean the knife without disassembly. But if you have to, now you know how.